Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be going over this Reddit post that talks about let's crowdsource an LCS power ranking. All you have to do is pick which of the two teams you believe is better in a series of hypothetical matchups. And so what they did here is, again, you would click on this post and it'd show you two teams. It'd show you like TSM and CLOUD9. You pick who you think's going to win, and it would show you just matchups over and over and over again. And it did that to every single person that clicked on this post, and from that they were able to determine who Reddit thinks is better than which teams and then order them from 1 to 10. So today in this video, I'm going to be breaking down Reddit's preseason power rankings. It should be noted that this was before the lock-in tournament started. I took a look at Mark Z's preseason power rankings. I've given my own preseason power rankings. We looked at Team Liquid's as a team. So we kind of got like the analyst, the pro players, and now we're getting Reddit, which should be a whole different animal and beast. But I think it is really fun to kind of look at some of these preseason rankings, especially now that we've seen some of the lock-in games and stuff, to see what we think people have gotten right, what we think they've gotten wrong, and who's the smartest between Reddit, the pros, the analysts, and some random guy on YouTube. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick, if you guys are not already subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button really quick. I know when I first started saying this, it was like 75% of the people that watch my videos weren't subscribed, but we've gotten it down all the way to like 71%. You guys are doing insane. We're doing crazy numbers. The subs are running up, but, you know, today we actually lost a couple of subs, so, you know, we got to start replacing them. We got to start pumping those numbers up again. We're still up subscribers on the day, but there was some drama and stuff earlier where some people were dropping off. You know, hate and drama is at an all-time high, so spread some positivity, spread some love. Click that subscribe button. Also drop a like on the video if you do enjoy what we got going on here. I'd appreciate it a ton. Helps out the YouTube algorithm. With that being said, here we go. Let's see what Reddit's got to say. I'll be reacting to it, and then obviously, as always, you guys can give your reactions as well, because I would love to hear it. But yeah, let's go. At number 10, who does Reddit think the worst team in the league in 2021 is going to be? At number 10, we have Immortals. So to me, this is a little bit interesting because I do think Immortals is in kind of that bottom 3 clump of teams, but I have not really seen many power rankings that has Immortals as dead last. I know there are a lot of people who are kind of hyped up for Xerxes to be coming over from Europe. He's a big name. He didn't have the best year in 2020, but he is a guy who has had good splits in the past, and at certain points he's been considered one of the better junglers in Europe. And obviously coming over to NA, they're kind of buying low on him. They're hoping he can have a resurgence. They're hoping he can be okay. I know Revenge is a really highly touted solo queue player, even though I'm not very high on him. Insanity is a decent mid laner. He's not like the worst mid in the league or anything. And then Raze and Destiny, I'm not super excited about them, but it seems like some people are hyped up for some of these Osh players, especially with a lot of OPL talent coming over. Again, I don't think Reddit's too far off here. I think Immortals is towards the bottom, but I am a little bit surprised that they have them ranked as the last team, and it seems like they have them ranked pretty lowly, just based on these scores on the right side. You can kind of see the number valuations and stuff with everything. My green screen is so messed up. I don't know why it keeps going on my forehead like that, but it's freaking me out. All right, up next at number 9, let's see what they got. We have Dignitas. So this is a little bit surprising to me because, again, most people starting out the year had Golden Guardians at like 10th, Golden Guardians at 9th at the highest, but Reddit has Dignitas at 9th, and I don't disagree. 9 was right where I had Dignitas, and so far in the lock-in tournament, it doesn't look like 9th is going to be too far off. It looks like they're going to be 8th, 9th, or 10th. Again, don't read too much into the preseason tournament, but Dignitas does not look great so far. They did have one game where they kind of popped off, but other than that, they've just looked kind of weak so far. Soligo and Fake God are pretty iffy solo laners. There was one game where Soligo started out like 4-0 on Zoe, and then went like 4-5 or something, just did nothing the rest of the game. Fake God has been pretty hit or miss so far. I don't really love Neo, and then I think their two veterans, Aphromoo and Dardoch, are pretty washed up at this point. But again, Reddit thinks Dignitas is significantly ahead of Immortals, and you know they're not too wrong there. At number 8, Reddit has Golden Guardians, and I mean, so far so good. Again, a lot of people were sleeping on Golden Guardians, having them like 10th, having them like 9th. They have 2 guys coming from the collegiate scene skipping over. They have one guy that not many people know about, Newbie, coming over from Latin America. They have Stixay, who people thought was just washed up and trash. And then a Blaze Olive in the mid lane, who it seems like keeps getting passed over for starting opportunities. So I had question marks about what exactly was going on there, even though I am a Blaze Olive fan. But, you know, Reddit saw something in them. A ton of people love Niles. He has a big personality, so there is maybe something there. I'm going to fix the camera real quick. I'm going to attempt to do that because it is a little bit bothering me. Can we go to the filters? And all right, we'll just turn it off for now. But again, Niles, big personality. He's been talking a lot of trash. People are excited for him. I don't know. I'm so surprised I had him up this high just because we know so little about Iconic. We know so little about how Newbie's going to come over and do in the LCS. But again, Golden Guardians is a team that so far has surprised in the tournament, and maybe people are starting to move up their rankings, maybe even as high as like 7th. So Reddit was maybe on something here. I think this is a good call that they had so far with Golden Guardians at 8 ahead of Dignitas and Immortals, because now that we've seen them a little bit, I think this is going to be a more common pick for a lot of people. At number 7, we have CLG. And the big thing to mention here is that Reddit has these bottom 3 teams as pretty close, but then a big gap between 7th and 8th. And again, I think that has been pretty normal. But man, CLG has not looked great so far. I believe they are done with the group stage. I believe they've played all their games. I think they went 1-3 because I know they played 2 games the first day. I'm pretty sure they went 1-3, and I'm pretty sure they have been eliminated as well, which is kind of crazy. But CLG has not looked great so far. Obviously, they had Solo and Wiggly playing, so you don't want to read too much into it. Finn and Broxus should be upgrades. Broxus should be an upgrade over Wiggly. I'm assuming Finn should be an upgrade over Solo as well, even though Solo has been pretty solid. But I do think a lot of people had a big gap between the bottom 3 teams and CLG, but then also you'll notice with the numbers here that Reddit has a big gap between CLG and the top 6 as well, which again, I think is pretty normal, is something a lot of people had. So not bad for Reddit so far. I think I agree with my power rankings have lined up with 2 of these 4. I did have Dignitas at 9, I did have CLG at 7. I have Immortals and Golden Guardians flipped around, but again, this is just Reddit's thoughts and opinions. At number 6, we have Evil Geniuses. And again, this is pre-lock-in tournament. Now Evil Geniuses 3-0. A lot of people have them looking like maybe the best team in the LCS. I've heard people say they're either 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. I think there's a case to be made for Team Liquid. I think there's a case to be made for 100 Thieves. You could still put Cloud9 up there as well, but I think a lot of people are dropping down some of the teams ahead of Evil Genius because they've looked great so far. So this is the one so far where I think Reddit might be the most wrong, but again, I can't flame them too hard because this is right where I had Evil Geniuses as well. I have had one list where I've been at 5, one list where I had them at 6. Again, people, I rightfully so, I think, had questions about Jizuke because he looked pretty terrible last year. Definitely has been pretty unproven, but man, Impact, Ignar, Svenskeren, that's such a solid core. And so far, so good for Jizuke. It feels like Evil Geniuses has a whole new playstyle this year. They're letting Jizuke kind of play a lot differently than they did last year. And so far, he's reaping the rewards of that. Also, definitely has had a couple of pretty nasty games so far. And if they can keep that up, Evil Geniuses can be very, very scary and very dangerous. So again, this is another team that post-lock-in tournament, I expect a lot of people to be moving up their rankings. But at number 5, Reddit has FlyQuest. And man, this might, if Evil Geniuses was the one they're the most wrong about, FlyQuest might be 2nd. Because so far, FlyQuest has only played 2 games. And yes, they don't have Jose Diodo. But man, in the lock-in tournament through 2 games, FlyQuest has looked terrible, and this team is plummeting down the ranks of a ton of people's power rankings coming into the season. Diamond, who actually Twitter voted to be the rookie of the year, preseason favorite before the LCS lock-in games this weekend, he has looked absolutely terrible in my opinion so far. He has had some disrespectful positioning. He's getting caught out. He's having weird deaths. So that's kind of hindered Johnson's performance a little bit there. Palafox hasn't done anything special. Licorice has not looked like the guy he once was. This is looking like summer split Licorice. He is not finding that spring split form again. And then obviously they don't have Jose Diodo there. And I think he will make some improvements with FlyQuest, obviously. But there's some things that getting a new jungler can't even help. If your bot lane is dying 2v2, Jose Diodo coming in is not going to do anything about that. So again, people got really, really caught up in the FlyQuest preseason hype with all these young, big names coming up and talent that people were really, really excited about. Maybe those expectations are kind of coming back down to earth, and I think FlyQuest is going to be coming down in a lot of people's power rankings after this tournament is over. They're not done yet. They still got 2 games to prove themselves, but man, they might be going home a lot earlier than people expected. At number 4, we have 100 Thieves. And again, this is a team that so far so good in the lock-in tournament. They have looked great. I think people would probably bump them up in the power rankings now if they could. But at the time, I don't think 4th was bad. The real conversation before this tournament came down to who did you think was going to be better between 100 Thieves and TSM. And we know TSM is a crazy, crazy fan base. Even though 100 Thieves has a pretty crazy fan base too, it's hard to compete with that TSM fan base. So in anything fan voting, TSM's always going to rank a little bit higher. But, so it was going to be tough for 100 Thieves there. They have a ton of talent. But also, I think an asterisk by them is that they have 4 of their returning players from last year. Obviously, it's the Golden Guardians team moved over. So they have a ton of existing synergy. So I think they're going to look a little bit better in the lock-in tournament than a lot of other teams. So yes, they have looked pretty solid so far. They did have one bad loss. They're 2-1, not undefeated, but they're looking good so far. I do think they're a team that should get off to a hotter start than most teams and maybe not develop as much over the course of the season because they're starting from a higher point already. And they did some of their developing last year where most teams are going to be developing all this year. But you don't know. 100 Thieves could definitely be a Worlds team this year, but again, with Evil Geniuses coming in hot, CLOUD9, TL being as talented as they are, that 3rd spot, and even the top 2 spots in the LCS, they're going to be tough. Those are going to be brawls this year. And it's going to just depend how well teams develop over the course of the year. At number 3, we were just talking about them. We got TSM with the bronze medal. Now, again, this is surprising because TSM has such a big fan base. People usually want to overrate them and bump them up. Then you could even make the argument that Reddit is overrating them at number 3 because so far in the lock-in tournament, TSM has looked pretty terrible. The one game that they looked decent at all, that they even showed any signs of life pre-20 minutes, was against CLG, who I already talked about has looked absolutely terrible. I mean, this team got stomped by 100 Thieves, and then they should have lost to Golden Guardians if not for a miracle Baron steal that even got them back into the game. Power of Evil has not looked good so far. Huni, I know people are giving a lot of criticism to, and rightfully so. Sword Art has looked decent, Lost has looked okay, Speak has looked pretty good, but it has not turned into anything for the team. They're not proactive, they're not making plays, they're not developing any leads for themselves. They're just kind of capitalizing on some mistakes from their teams. Their drafts have been weird. A lot of trouble for TSM right now. Again, this is another team that if so far, 1 week through the lock-in tournament, you got to have them trending down on your power rankings list. But Reddit had them as number 3. At number 2, Reddit decided to go with Team Liquid, and this one does surprise me because, man, Team Liquid finished with the best record in the regular season last year, and they got better at 2 of those positions. They took the best regular season Team Liquid team that we've ever seen, and we've seen some great Team Liquid teams, and they got Alfari in the top lane, who people expect to be an upgrade over Impact, but you could make the case that maybe he's not. But for sure, Santorin, maybe the best jungler in the LCS, is a big upgrade over Broxa, who many people are ranking like 5th, 6th, 7th best jungler in the LCS right now. So, again, the best team that TL's had in a while, who got better, who went 3-3 at Worlds, and now is expected to make it out of groups, to not have them as the best team in the LCS, a little bit shocking to me. But I guess no surprise, at the top is CLOUD9 because, man, you want to talk about TSM's crazy fan base? CLOUD9 has an insane fan base. These dudes come out for this team. They're so loyal. They always are showing out. And, Perks is getting a lot of international praise as well. Obviously, coming over from EU, they're getting Perks. That's going to really help build their fan base even more. This team looks exciting. They're fun. Blabber has a big personality as well. People really love this team. And people have big expectations for them. And so far, again, just a couple games in the lock-in tournament, CLOUD9 definitely does not look like the best team in the LCS, in my opinion. They look like they might be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th at this point. But it's just 1 week. We're going to see how teams develop over the course of this week, how well they develop over the course of the tournament, and then obviously once we get to the real games, the real regular season, how teams develop over the course of that as well. Because there are different teams and players taking this to varying degrees of seriousness. Obviously, Perks is kind of like trolling, memeing a lot, and he even said in an interview that he's like wanting to limit test and stuff. He wants to see what the boundaries are. But CLOUD9 has definitely looked better in their most recent 2 games than they did in their first game. But man, that was not a very good loss to Evil Geniuses to start the year. But this is what Reddit thinks, and I want to know what you guys think now. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy this video. Leave a comment down below. What do you think Reddit got right? What did they get wrong? What would you change? And what does your power rankings look like now, a week into the season, now that we've seen a week of the preseason games? Subscribe to stay up to date on my latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!